Welcome to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. Hope you're having a great day as we continue to celebrate so many amazing people who are working so hard to make this such a great place to live, work, and play. I thought about the people on this show when I was reading my digital history book this morning. I came across a quote from George Lucas of Star Wars, fame. And I love this quote. He says, everybody has the choice of being a hero or not being a hero every day of their lives. I love that. And it speaks to a lot of the people on the show, people who are in the trenches working really hard. I don't think they would call themselves heroes. That's so interesting. If you ask someone, are they a hero? They're not going to say, oh, yeah, I'm a hero. But I call them all heroes, the way they all are giving so much and, to make this a better place. And it takes a culmination of efforts, but these are people who have made a choice. They've made a choice in their everyday lives to be a hero. And I love that. That's one of the things I love about doing this show is celebrating those sort of people and telling their stories. And one of the people who I think is a hero, somebody I really enjoy visiting with, and he's somebody who's in the trenches every day trying to, make this a better place, is my friend Bill Lavers, the executive director from the Harrison County Development Commission. And we haven't talked in a while, so I've been looking forward to catching up with him. Bill, how have you been, my friend?
I've been crazy busy. I do not deserve the title of hero by any means, because it's, it is, as they say, it takes a village, and there's, on any deal, there's probably 40 or 50 people involved, that are just way, way back in the back row. You can't even see them in the pictures, or they're not even there for the pictures in a lot of cases. That there's just so much that I don't think many people, like Brandy and I talk about it regularly, even our commissioners that come see us twice a month, a few of them understand the minutia that it takes to get all these things done. But I think the average citizen, they're so busy in their lives and grandkids with strep throat and stuff like that, they just think it happens, and then like I was in DC yesterday in Congressman Ezel's office, and I was, celebrating all the wonderful things we're working on. And we've got over $1 billion worth of projects. We've never had that. And, and I said, and Trump's going to come up with $1 trillion worth of something today and make us feel insignificant again. And he did, so, I mean, it's just, the numbers are, for us, they're astronomical, and we're just extremely thankful and grateful for the opportunities. And there's just a lot to be thankful for on the Gulf Coast right now.
There is, and I don't think Bill Cork, the MDA executive director, would mind me saying this, but he's been on the show. He's a regular guest on the show, and he's someone I've learned a lot about economic development from. And your name came up in a conversation, and he was extremely complimentary. He these are my words, not his, but he. The way I would summarize what he said is that you're a guy who's burning the midnight oil and working really, really hard on behalf of Harrison County. And, Bill travels the state, so he knows well, and he's been involved in some really, really, really big deals, as you well know. And, it's nice to hear a compliment about your work from someone like Bill Cork.
I'll have to. Yeah, I'm sure I owe him something for that one now. But I mean, it's and the people that do it get it. We were in DC. We flew in late Monday. I had supervisors meeting Monday. Flew to DC. We were lucky enough to have dinner with Courtney Taylor, and that was fun. Just kind of talk and not always talk about business. And we were lucky that she was able to have dinner with us. Billy Thornton went with me, and I had General Rick Weaver, retired from Camp Shelby and the National Guard. So and then yesterday we had a full day meeting with DOT and talking about FTZ because of tariffs. And then we met with all our elected officials, both the senators' offices and Congressman Ezel's office, and then got on a plane to come home, and it was late, and we had to fly into Mobile instead of Gulfport and rent a car, and got in about 1 a.m. So yeah, the burning the midnight oil is it's live. That was in the last 24 hours at least. So
Yeah. Hey, listen, when I had Cindy,
we love what we do, so it makes it
yeah,
easy.
when I had Senator Cindy Hyde Smith on recently, we had a terrific full show together, and she recounts driving down Highway 90 with President Trump and talking about the price of real estate and all of that. And I'm sure you know this, but she pays very close attention to what's happening down here. She knows about real estate prices and opportunity and all of that. It's very advantageous to have a senator who is paying very close attention, isn't it?
It is. And as we were walking to meet with staff yesterday, there's models of all the aircraft built in Mississippi. There's an Ocean Aero model in her office. We didn't go in her office yesterday, but in the corner there's a picture of the Ocean Aero drone, and it's signed by a bunch of people. And I mean, that's another example. The day that the governor and everybody was celebrating Ocean Aero, I was on a plane headed west working on PCC. So, we already had Ocean Aero. They're great. We love them, but I got to go get the next one that we now have. So, and yesterday we were in DC talking about the next deal that's coming because of PCC. So it's like, if not for Chemours, we wouldn't have PCC. If not for PCC, we wouldn't have this new prospect. We've got 2 new prospects because of PCC. PCC is well underway and filing all their paperwork and hope to break ground fourth quarter. And then I've got a customer flying in today that we're having dinner with tonight, and we have meetings with tomorrow. So far it's a cool story, and I barely know what I'm talking about, but it's a guy that went to Ole Miss and went through the CME program and is dragging his CEO and COO to Mississippi because he thinks the company should be here instead of some other states. So we really appreciate those kind of people bringing us the opportunities that, a lot of times we're not in the mix. Bill's in DC right now at Select USA with 20,000 people or something. I like going fishing where all the other boats aren't. I like going direct and having specific conversations. And so we got to do it all, though. I mean, I'm thankful Bill's up there doing that, and we're down here doing this. And we've just got a lot. I mean, I told the supervisors on Monday, I was in a meeting in Nashville last week with a bunch of economic development people. And they're talking about, Franklin, Tennessee is booming because of Nashville, and they want diversification. And, my presentation I did on Monday was, you can't have much more diversification. I mean, we've got Buc-ee's, which is retail. We've got new, state-of-the-art chemical facilities. We've got expansions. We've got manufacturing. We didn't do it by design. It's just pure luck, probably, but we're just so grateful. Probably 60% of it's new, 40% of it's existing, like U.S. Marines expanding and doing great things. Seaman Composites is doing some things that they've been trying to do, and Sid's been there for 30 years. And the Navy's finally come around to his way of thinking. And the Navy's really putting some money into their organization so that they can support the Navy to the extent without Seaman having to put up the money to support the Navy. Now the Navy is supporting Seaman. So, and those are great, great jobs and opportunities. The thing we have to continue to focus on is, where do we get the people for all the jobs that are coming? Because there's a lot of I was at the PASS school update, and I did a little intro, and I said, okay, Dr. Killebrew, you got 942 students in the school system. I need all those kindergartners to graduate in the next 2 years because I've got to fill all those jobs, and I need them to come from Pass Christian so they don't have to drive too far to work. And everybody laughed, but I wasn't kidding. I mean, we've got to figure out a way to expand our workforce. And it's going to take it's going to take, reprogramming the kids, getting some people are going to retire from military, other jobs, and start a new career. And we've got to have people move in. We've got a lot of housing coming to support that. We still need affordable housing. We need daycare. I mean, it's a lot. Now that I'm saying it out loud, it's a lot. And it's, we need everybody. We need everybody pulling the rope.
What I believe strongly, though, is that success breeds more success. And you can look at where major projects have taken place just in Mississippi. You can certainly go outside Mississippi and see that as well. But if you build it, they'll come, especially the kind of jobs that are emerging in the conversation today, advanced manufacturing and so on. Great opportunities, great quality of life, great standard of living. I don't need to convince you of any of that. We'll pick it up right there when we get on the other side. But when we get on the other side, Bill, having been fresh back from Washington, I'm one who believes what Trump is doing as it relates to tariffs and forcing a discussion about this sort of global economy and the role that America plays in that is a really important discussion that we're having. And it's going to be really good for us over the long haul. I'm convinced of it. I'm curious about the mood in Washington when Bill was up there. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Bill Lavers. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. We're visiting with Bill Lavers, who's the Executive Director for the Harrison County Development Commission, the economic development arm for Harrison County. He's fresh back from Washington, and you heard me mention as we were going to break that I'm one who believes this discussion that's happening, this important discussion around the global economy and the role that America plays in that is really important. And the outcome of these explorations on a country by country basis is way beyond tariffs. It's really arguing about where does the United States fit into this global economy in terms of the supply chain, and nothing but good's going to come from that. I'm telling you, as it relates to America, you're already seeing it in trillions of dollars worth of announcements. So, Bill, when you're up in D.C., that has to be sort of the frame around just about every conversation.
Yeah, we started with DOT, and DOGE is great when you see that on the news, and you're like, oh yeah, let's cut waste and fraud. But when it comes home and it starts affecting people that it's not so cool. Like General Weaver said that Andy at AvCrad lost some employees because of DOGE and federal cutbacks. And, we're seeing some impact in the schools and some things with the state. So, there's a lot of positivity in DC, but there's also a lot of uncertainty. But I think these are important discussions. I mean, the companies that we're talking to, PCC, for example, when they started, we weren't talking about tariffs, and you start talking about bringing equipment from Germany over here to be on our soil with, our taxes on it. Maybe that shouldn't be tariffed, but there's another example that I won't disclose, but something that was ordered 2 years ago because it takes so long to make is now subject to tariffs that wasn't subject to when it was ordered, and it's tripled the price of the product. And it's, we're talking about millions of dollars. When you triple millions of dollars, it's not a fun, the math doesn't work anymore. So I think it's important. Our luxury, if you want to say it, is a lot of our companies are not Fortune 500 companies. They're more mom and pop. They're more, PCC is owned by Mr. Prusner and his shareholders. And those are the kind of people that, U.S. Marine is owned locally. Seaman Composites is owned locally. Those are the kind of people that are still making the decisions. They're making fast decisions that benefit their business, their employees, in the community. And that's kind of our bread and butter. We don't have NASA type clients or the big, big ones, which is fine. Buc-ee's, for example, everybody wants to talk about that. June 9th, 10 o'clock. Hope you can get in the parking lot. But Beaver and one guy own Buc-ee's, and they are as good a group to work with as anybody I've ever worked with. Now, when they tell you, like I was in the supervisors and I was like, June 9th at 10 o'clock, and Supervisor Powers was like, we have our board meeting June 9th at 9:30. And I was like, well, I can't tell Beaver when he's going to have his groundbreaking. So they rescheduled the supervisors meetings to 1 o'clock that day just to be at the event, because it's such a big thing for the community. It's a huge thing for the state. It's going to be chaotic, but it's going to be a lot of fun to have that
Yeah, I mean,
behind
it's a
us
big one, $80 million
and be able to buy all
investment.
that.
Yeah, $80
Yeah.
million investment, over 200 jobs. It required significant infrastructure to make it happen. And for people who have not been to a Buc-ee's before, you may not truly appreciate what we're talking about here. It's truly a destination. People will not go to that exit and wait till they get to Buc-ee's for a lot of different reasons. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But it's been a long time coming. It seems like you and I just started talking about it, and here we are in the moment.
4.5 years. That's how long I've been working on Buc-ee's. So,
Wow.
we've seen the construction, but it's the paperwork started 4.5 years ago, and it was actually the closing day of the legislative session, whatever that was, in 2021, where they voted on the TIF to allow some of that sales tax to stay local to help support the road and infrastructure that's coming. So, again, it goes back to, there's a lot of people behind the scenes and Bill Cart called me about that deal and said, "Hey, this isn't something we normally do. I know you were chasing them here." And I'm like, "Heck yeah, put me in, coach. Let's go." And it's Natalie from WLOX and Mary Perez call me every week. I don't know with Buc-ee's. Can't y'all find something else to? But I say it kind of jokingly, but because of Buc-ee's, we did Buc-ee's. We've got a natural gas refinery that's done with NextEra Energy at the Pine Grove landfill around the corner from Buc-ee's. That's a $68 million project. It's not a lot of jobs. The first one of those ever in Mississippi. When I was in Nashville last week, the attorney that did that said they've done 4 more projects like that. And ours was the first. PCC is going one exit to the west. PCC has people chasing them now. So, we're looking at over $1 billion of development between the Minge exit and the Kill-DeLille exit, not counting whatever ancillary things happen just because of normal activity. But it's a good time, and we're excited. There are some sleepless nights, but that's this is the game we play, and it's the game we love. And again, I couldn't do it without my team of commissioners, and I have a great team here. I mean, I was telling Jason this morning, we've had a power breaker go out on one of our wells on Monday. We had a electric panel go out on another lift station today. I'm like, are we under attack? And it's just it's just weird things. We haven't had any lightning storms or anything, but it's like we had a manhole cover disappear overnight, and so we had to go fix that before somebody hits it with their car. I mean, there's so many things that we do that just, and Jason's working on a new road, and we've got 3 new grant applications to write from what I learned yesterday at DOT that are, have rolling deadlines, but we got to do that. We've got federal funding we're working on for rail yards. We've got restore money we've got to turn in for again. We've got old restore money we're cleaning up. We finished $8 million worth of GCRF and restore grant projects this year. So when I really sit, if I'm on a plane and I sit down and I write down all the stuff we're doing, it's insane what we're able to do with I've got 9 people, and I'm 2 people down. I've got some new people starting in a week or 2, but but again, thankful, grateful. This is what we do. We love what we do. We love where we do it. And we just, put us in. Let's go.
So, I think for people who've not heard us talk before, you're talking about these infrastructure snafus and planning and building that you're doing. You're in the utility business, you're in the land management business, you're in the industrial park business, you're in the real estate business. You have a a lot of things that and then you're obviously involved in economic development, and the kind of economic development you're doing ties all those things together, because infrastructure is critical to the success of the kind of projects that you're working on. But it is multifaceted, isn't it?
It is, and I mean, we're able to do things now because of some of the people on our team, like Jason, our engineer, and George, and we got another Jason C. and Jeremy. Those guys are kind of in our utility side, but in 4 days they built a road in the industrial park. And 3 years ago we tried to do that, and then we hired somebody to put the base on and some other stuff. Now we don't do the asphalt. We'll ride the county contract for that when the time comes. But those guys put in water and sewer in a road in 6 days, and they love it. They love getting out there on the equipment. They love, it's immediate gratification when you can see what you just built. And it saves us a lot of money to be able to self-perform those things. We work closely with Jeremy Harrison at the city of Gulfport for, making sure the road's to the city standard, because we're going to hand it over eventually. And it's, right now it's just a construction road, but it's there for the next company that's coming. So, yeah, we do a lot of crazy things. And, Brandy's like, we're going to do what? I mean, one thing we're doing right now, Colin's in the master's class with Jamie Miller right now. So they're touring as we speak. She's touring Keesler and the CB base this morning, and they're doing this new study on the military affairs committee. So we're heavily involved in that. We're working on Jason. We had a part go out, a gear, and you don't want that gear to go out. I won't describe. It goes in a sewage treatment plant. We'll leave it there. But so we've decided we're going to have a lunch and learn. Jason loves to barbecue. So we're going to have a lunch and learn and invite all the plant maintenance people in to see where they get parts when things break, and have, just kind of share notes about where do you get this? And a lot of these guys have never been in the same room before, guys and ladies, I guess. And, just connecting the neighborhood, because things are going to break. They break every day. We've had, what's today, Wednesday? We've had 6 things break since Wednesday in the utility department that wasn't on our to-do list when we woke up on Monday at 12:03. We got an alarm that we weren't expecting that has snowballed all week.
So as I mentioned, we should have planned a host show, but we're out of time. Bill Lavers, it's been a pleasure to spend some time with you, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
We'll see you
anytime.